Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. Today we'll continue with our series on happiness, the Hasidic approach to joy by Rabbi Shlomo Majewski. And last week we finished talking about us having two worlds. We have the Olam Haba and the Olam Hazeh. We have the world to come, and we have this material world in which we live, the world in which we're now. And we spoke about this world being a corridor that takes us to the next world. And that if a person lives his life thinking that this is the only world there is, then it's very hard to be happy, because we'll always have that existential feeling and fear that will be no more. And people suffer a lot because of that. It creates a lot of anxiety. But knowing that there's another world, and that this is not it, this is not the end, and that we are actually eternal, gives us a lot of comfort and a lot of joy. So today we will continue talking about this subject and about the spiritual causation. So the difference between God and human beings is that God is an infinite being and we are finite. And the problem also is that sometimes we try to put Hashem in a square, we try to put him in a box, and we try to understand him. And a finite being cannot really come and grasp an infinite being. It's impossible. And this is something that creates a lot of problems in our lives. There is no way in the world we can also fathom a possible explanation to the Holocaust. This is another subject that is always treated when we're talking about joy and about happiness, and how we can come to terms with such suffering in the world and be happy. How can we live happily after being butchered and killed in such an unjust way? So the Holocaust really, I remember many years ago, a Holocaust survivor asked a rabbi. He asked him if he could explain to him the Holocaust. And this rabbi, he said to him, you know what? I'm so sorry, I can't explain the Holocaust to you. It would be so arrogant of me to come and explain to you the Holocaust. There's no explanation for it, because I go back to the same thing. If an infinite God creates things in this world that are beyond our comprehension as human beings, to come and bring an explanation to them, it would be trying to put the infinite in the finite. So there's no real good reason to explain the Holocaust. Whatever it is, we cannot explain it. But what we know is that Hashem doesn't do anything that is not for our own good. And this is one of our beliefs as Jewish people, that we believe that everything that happens to us comes from Hashem, and it comes from his kindness. It doesn't come from a bad place. It comes from his love towards us. And we could see it like it's our antibiotic, like we're sick people. We have to be corrected, and this is the way in which we learn how to be the true people that we are. Sadly, many people cannot come to be able to survive these type of tragedies, and they can't go on, they can't move forward. And then you see people like Elie Wiesel, who were unbelievable people, who were able to step up the ladder and live above himself, and he was able to live for others and bringing awareness to other people and doing lemonade with the lemons. So there is nevertheless another point that has to be clarified. If a person suffers because it was something that came from nature, like a thunderstorm, a tsunami, an earthquake, any of these calamities, we can come to grips with it better than if the suffering comes from another person. Because, okay, you say an earthquake is from God, a volcano is from God, we can accept it. But when it comes from another person that makes you suffer, it's very hard to understand, and it's very hard to understand that it comes from God. So in Hasidut, the concept, and in Jewish thought, is that even if a person does bad to you, even if a person harms you, it really comes from God too. That's why it is avodat zarah, is idol worship, to get angry. Anger is considered idol worship, because when a person understands that anything that someone does to them in their life comes from God, it will be much harder to get you angry. You will be more aware of also who you are and what you have to correct in yourself, and that things that happen to you are not really random, they're orchestrated by Hashem. So there's another point here that is important to clarify, is that if a person harms somebody, let's say a thief goes and steals a house, he actually is very accountable for his actions. He has free will. He can choose between being good or evil. He can choose if he's going to steal or not steal. That's his choice, and that's his relationship with God, and he's going to pay for it. But that it happens to us, that's from God. That thief came to our house and he stole from us and not from the neighbor, that is something in which we have to also correct inside of ourselves. Hashem is trying to teach us a lesson here. Or maybe he's also protecting us from something worse. So we never know what the real reason is. If you have to do a heshbon hanefesh inside of you, and maybe you're not grateful for the things you have, and so they came and they stole them, so you can realize how blessed you are with all the things you have. Or God forbid, something worse was going to happen and Hashem is protecting you from something worse. It can be, that's called a kapara. So the resolution is once again that everything that happens to us is ordained by divine providence, even when the loss is inflicted by another individual. In the Mishnah, tells Rabbi Hillel, he once saw a skull floating in the water, and he said to it, because you drowned others, you were drowned, and ultimately those who drowned you will themselves be drowned. So Hillel was explaining the process of causation. In other religions they call it karma, what goes around comes around, but it's really an energy that moves the world. It is true. When the Jewish people were enslaved in Egypt, Pharaoh used to drown the children, the firstborns, the boys, in the Nile River. And then when the Jewish people were leaving Egypt, Hashem drowned the Egyptians in the Yam Suf, in the Red Sea. And this is why Yitro came and converted to Judaism, because he saw Mida Keneged Mida. He saw the hand of God in everything. Everything that you do will come back to you. If you do kindness, Hashem's going to give you kindness. If you are very judgmental towards others, you're going to be also judged harshly. So we have to train ourselves to look at everybody with a good eye and do kindness to others and think good and do good, because everything is mida keneged mida, is measured. So therefore, the fact that one suffers a loss that is caused by another person should not prevent one from being happy and besimha, because on the contrary, one should realize that this is a kindness from God, and that He's giving you the opportunity to change your ways and to become a better version of yourself, and He's giving you the merits to be able to do it. So I leave you today. I wish you a blessed week and live a little higher.